Welcome to the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday episode. I'm your host, Aman, and today we're returning back to the NBA world. Super Bowl kind of died down, parade happened and everything, and I don't want to speak about the honestly tragic events. My heart goes out to everyone involved. I mean, at this point, it's just a reality you're gonna live with living in the United States. Like that's just plain and simple. Until something happens, it's just the new normal because it seems like every month at some point it was like I think just a stretch of 1 week where it was just mass shooting after mass shooting after mass shooting. There's like 22 people is now the count wounded. Three are as of now critical condition. One person has passed away, and it's just unfortunate. We don't know the cause, if it's mental health related, too much alcohol, like whatever, but it's just unfortunate. So my heart goes out to everyone involved. But today will be about the NBA, so make sure to follow us on all social media platforms that you see in the description below. But I say NBA because obviously the trade deadline passed last Friday, I believe, or Thursday. Thursday was the trade deadline last Thursday, and obviously it was sort of a quiet deadline, but a lot of great role players got traded to other teams. Like the Knicks, like they're probably a lot of people's picks to go make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. And Philly trading for Buddy Hield to pair alongside Joel Embiid when he's back, he's only going to get reevaluated in a week or two just to see his progress because, I mean, he deserved MVP, but this rule is screwing a lot of players up. Tyrese Halliburton can't miss too many games, so you don't want players to all of a sudden just get season-ending injuries because they're going to miss out on a paycheck by missing out on All NBA or All Star teams or awards that will hurt their salaries. But pairing Buddy Hield next to Embiid, I don't think it's a move to get out of the second round because, like I said, if the Sixers play the Knicks in the second round, I think the Knicks would beat the Sixers. Jalen Brunson, who quite a few people thought that the Knicks overpaid for him, now that's looking like a cheap contract for him. He's looking like $40 million player, mid 40s. He'll get 50 in today's money because now people are getting paid like 64, 65 a year. I wouldn't be surprised if Steph gets like after this contract gets like 2 years, like almost 70 at the rate. The salaries are increasing. But we had that happening, and then today news broke that the Warriors actually tried to trade for LeBron James. And now the Lakers are saying they might want to draft Bronny. And at a certain point, like that might work out because obviously LeBron is there to mentor him, but at the same time, Bronny's still getting his legs under him after the unfortunate cardiac arrest. He's still getting used to it. So I honestly think Bronny should stay in college to get more playing time and so he could prove himself even more because he looked like a pretty good draft pick and then unfortunately the cardiac arrest happened, so he's just trying to get used to basketball and everything like that again. And so that's why right now people are projecting him he actually goes undrafted. So if the Lakers get Bronny, I'd assume they'd draft him in the first round, but they'd have a lottery pick as of now, I think. And so that's obviously reaching for Bronny with his current stats and with what he's currently done in college so far. If he does decide to declare for the NBA draft, and like I said, I don't think he should. I think he should stay in college another year, maybe two. And obviously, LeBron wants to play with his son, but to maximize his success and potential, I think you stay in college. But I mean, as for the Warriors, if Bronny declares for the draft, like the Warriors have had a lot of success with drafting late round talent. Obviously, Draymond Green, second round. Trace Jackson Davis, I believe he was the 57th overall pick. which is like that was literally one of the last picks in the draft. So he's nearly undrafted, and he's a rotational player for the Warriors. But if Steph and LeBron somehow team up for 2 years, that's how LeBron's going to catch Jordan in rings, and even Stephen Curry, because in this era of basketball, it's literally headlined by LeBron and Steph. If you want to call it LeBron's era, call it LeBron's era. But if you want to call it Steph's era, call it Steph's era, because in my opinion, they both shared this era. Steph's proved he could win without Kevin Durant before any of you guys mentioned that. LeBron James is LeBron James, and every player needs help. I keep saying this. LeBron couldn't win on his own, even with his absurd stats, which we saw in 2018. So he needed Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and a prime Kevin Love. And that's not a knock on him. I'm just saying every superstar needs great players around him to win. The notion that you can just win it solo is just false, because Michael Jordan doesn't win without Scottie Pippen, without Dennis Rodman, without the role players around him. So I don't know how people act like all-time greats and superstars can win just by themselves solely. And I just don't agree with that notion whatsoever. Like, it's not good to think like that, in my opinion, when ranking players or talking about all-time teams and whatnot. But you got Steph and LeBron, like two of the greatest players in NBA history. Obviously, the best shooter of all time. No one's arguing against that. And Stephen Curry, the greatest basketball player of all time, in my opinion. And LeBron James, Steph. I agree with what KD said of him being the top 5 player ever. So, yeah, both those for the next 2-3 years. And here's how it could work. Klay Thompson is willing to take a huge, I don't know if you can call it a pay cut anymore, because he's obviously not as good as he once was before injury. And he said he's willing to take a reduced role, which would obviously mean him coming off the bench. So Klay Thompson on a cheaper contract. I'd assume you'd have to move Andrew Wiggins, unfortunately, because the Warriors are coming around, and it's them and the Lakers who are like kind of the lower seeds that if they don't play each other in the play-in tournament, or if the Warriors make it out of the play-in tournament, I don't think a team wants to see the Warriors or Lakers, because one night they're a championship team, the other night they look average. And the Warriors are on a roll right now. The Lakers have just sort of been rocky for most of the season, which is why people suspected LeBron would request a trade. Obviously, that didn't happen. Was it close to happening? But the fact that it could have happened had LeBron said, oh, maybe this is a good idea, I'd assume it would have been like Wiggins, Moody, and honestly, because LeBron is towards the end of his career, that's probably, he's still an elite player. So you're trading for a 39-year-old, but also he's still definitely one of the best players in the league at the same time. So even if he did request a trade for any team, it would be tough, because at the same time, you want to give players that is equal to his value and, of course, picks, but at the same time, you want to really trade for someone who's going to be in the league for only 3 or so years, even though he's still very much an elite player. So you tread the line between that. So for the Warriors, like, I'm even seeing reports that, or all of us are even seeing reports that they're looking for like a strong wing. Like, I can't imagine Kevin Durant leaves another team again to come back to the Warriors. And again, that would involve Andrew Wiggins, Moses Moody, probably, and other picks. But you definitely, if you sign LeBron James, potentially Paul George, obviously one of them, you can't sign both of them, then you obviously would have to move away from Wiggins. And again, like I said, the Warriors and Lakers are both teams that you just never count out when making your predictions. And so in the era, there's no super team anymore. It's really chemistry, 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 chemistry. I've been saying that for as long as this podcast has existed. That's why the Suns are sort of struggling. The Bucks will get it together, but you see the top teams that you might not, when comparing player to player, you might not say they're the best in the league. Like, obviously, Shea's one of the best. You can't say that about Anthony Edwards. He's very much an elite player. But him, Cat, Gobert, that's just insane chemistry. Same with the Thunder and their young players. Same with the Nuggets. Obviously, Jokic, one of the best players in the league, but then you got great players around him that build that chemistry. And so I feel like it's definitely chemistry based. So if the Warriors were to pair Paul George and LeBron James, that actually helps Steph with a defender who can pretty much shoot. He's still elite and everything like that. So that would help Steph. And another thing is Draymond's great friends with LeBron and Paul George. So if he can recruit one of the two, then I'll honestly look out for the Warriors. But at the same time, the Warriors, like Kevin Durant, that fit, he's the ultimate, like, I feel like he'd fit on every single team just because of his skill set. But even people were questioning the fit with the Warriors. So I feel like the Warriors make any player fit in their system. Like Wiggins was an elite two-way player. Obviously, it's kind of rocky recently, but in 2022, one of the best two-way players in the league just because of the Warrior system. So I feel like if any star comes, the Warrior system will work for him. Chemistry is eventually going to build, opposed to other teams where it might be a rocky system, hit or miss, a lot of isolation. In my opinion, isolation basketball is not where it's at. You got to move the ball in transition. That's what the Nuggets mastered, obviously what the Warriors have mastered. And so that's my take on it. So even if the Warriors make a huge splash in free agency after the season, like I said, chemistry is the most important thing by far, in my opinion, far more than just building a super team like how it's kind of not working out for the Suns, in my opinion. But that's my take on everything and how LeBron almost became a Golden State Warriors. Not really almost because it wasn't close, but the fact that it was reported and there was even a chance of that happening and still a chance of happening in free agency, that's just crazy to me. But that's my take on everything. Thank you guys for listening. Tune in tomorrow to Evan and then obviously the shorts posted daily. Thank you.